Hello, everybody. It's day one of the Arena Open. Let's play some Wilds of Eldraine sealed deck. Oh no, I set this as my default. I didn't want to do that. Hardened Scales, just what I was hoping to see. Whoa! Gruff Triplets, which is very good, and Unnatural Growth, which is very hard to cast. But if I'm going out of the way for Gruff's Triplets, maybe Unnatural Growth gets there too. Intruder Alarm. That probably isn't going to be one I want to use. I don't know what this card does. It's a 2/4 Vigilance for 3. Doesn't really do much else. Hardened Scales. That's probably going to be pretty hard to use. This card's probably pretty good. I guess, are there even equipment in this deck? Or in this set? I'm not sure there are equipment in this set. There are auras. So I've got two good green rares. One maybe. Green dual land. This thing's obviously good. It's pretty easy to splash. So I'm hoping to have lots of that 1/3 green mana creature. Grasp of Fate in white. Stroke of Midnight's pretty good too. And Woodland Acolyte. I have this Ingenious Prodigy, which would probably be a card I'd be looking to splash out of blue. Blue doesn't really offer much outside of that. Maybe there's a gold card, but it seems like this would be the only thing, probably. 2 Candy Grapples in black. That's pretty good. High Fae Negotiator. I like that card. 2 Scream Puffs. 1 Torch and an Imidane's Recruiter. And Kellen the Feyblood, which is probably only particularly interesting if I have white mana and auras. I guess you can get a roll on it, and it's a bit of a lord and a 3-power double striker at that point, but it's not that exciting. Ooh, 2 Bestial Bloodlines. No, thank you. So I don't have any of the 1/3 mana guy. Maybe I should play this card. If I'm looking to ramp out Gruff's Triplets. I've never considered putting this card in a draft deck, but maybe it makes sense with this particular green sealed deck. I'm hoping for some good gold cards, in all honesty. 2 Ruby Daring Trackers. Crystal Grotto. I think this was not what I was hoping to see. So assuming I wind up being a base green deck, let's switch views. And I try to play Unnatural Growth. We'll come back to this guy. I like having this guy in sealed especially. Just having a weighted stride enchantment's pretty nice. I'm obviously going to play Restless Cottage if I have not Hollow Scavenger, the Mosswort Dread Knight, which I'm about to put in my deck. Candy Trail probably makes it. Crystal Grotto almost definitely. Prophetic Prism probably makes it because I don't know what my colored situation is going to be exactly, but I'm not playing mono green, and I'm going to be maybe playing a quad and a triple green card, so we're going to need some help. Mosswort Dread Knight. This thing I would like to not play if I can avoid it. We have to see. Let's check. What auras do I have? Knightly Valor and Bestial Bloodline. it possible that these green cards are just a trap and I should be red-white? Get two 2-drops in a glass casket, 3 2-drops. White actually, honestly, has some okay removal. Glass casket, Grasp of Fate, Stroke of Midnight. Seems reasonably deep as well. But what if I'm splash for that? Go ahead and play this, not with no red mana in my deck beyond the Grotto and the Prophetic Prism, probably. But I want some 2-drops, especially if I'm playing 2 Red-Toothed Genealogists, and every once in a while I'll have red mana and be able to play Burn together. Well, if I'm playing black, I'm definitely not going to play Witchstalker, because I think that the Wicked Visitor is better, and I mean it's quite bad, but it's still better. So we'd probably play that. So our reason to play Hopeless Nightmare. This card's really good if you have good synergies with it. I think I have one bargain card right now. I'm going to play this thing. Definitely play at least one Scream Puff. Oh, I guess I have 2 Candy Grapples. I have to play Hopeless Nightmare. How many creatures is this? 16 creatures. I also have Hamlet Glutton as a bargain card. And Troublemaker Roof. Yeah, I definitely. I'm going to play that. This looks pretty solid to me. Cards that I'm not playing that I might like to be playing. Scream Puff. It's been a while since I played with Unnatural Growth. I do have 16 creatures, and I have 1 Trampler that can create another Trampler, 2 Tramplers, no, 3 Tramplers. This is probably better than the second Scream Puff. Oh, this thing tramples too. I have a lot of trample. This is 8 green plus a Grotto. There's no way I'm going to play 2 islands. One of these has to be a forest. So this is 8, 9, 10, 11 green sources right now. I think that's enough for Griff Triplets. I'm concerned about Unnatural Growth, though. I think I don't want to cut more swamps, though. This is 7 black plus a Grotto and a Prism right now, but I have a lot of my cheaper cards are, like, a lot of my turn 2 plays are black. And just, a lot of the cards in my deck are black. I've got a double black card. Right now, I have more black cards than green cards. So I don't want to cut swamps for more forests. I think I would have to give up on Unnatural Growth. I can just play Scream Puff instead. This deck definitely seems fine. I'm using What are my rares? That doesn't work, right? No. I'm confused. Do I actually have all 6 of my... Why isn't it? Oh, it's because I have some mythics. Rares and mythics. Using 4 of my rares right now. 1, 2, 3, 4. Seems pretty good. Let's just do a quick double check that I shouldn't be playing white-red instead. Maybe not even build it. I'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 white cards, including some pretty good removal. 1, 2, wouldn't play those guys. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 red cards. Plus I'd probably play Candy Grail or Candy Trail. 8. So I would be like 3 cards short, which I could probably fill in with some mediocre stuff I skipped over, like Charmed Clothier and Plunge into Winter. Protective Parents. What's the payoff for doing this? I'm getting... The main payoff is I'm getting to play Imidane's Recruiter. And I'm getting this thing, which is fine. I guess I'm getting pretty good removal. I'm going to have Cut In, Torch the Tower, plus I would have Grasp, Stroke of Midnight, Glass Tower, or Glass Casket. This actually seems more competitive than I was expecting it to be. In terms of like which is better between the two. Let's actually lay it out. I also have this card, Moment of Valor, which is fine. I could play it in a pinch. I don't need all these green and black lands anymore. I thought Reno would be smart enough to get rid of them for me, but no. Would I play 16 or 17 lands in this deck? Probably 17 with this number of 4 and 5 drops. I could still probably play Candy Trail. This is not the kind of deck that it's great in, but maybe, I would definitely play this guy. So I'd be deciding between Candy Trail, maybe one Skewer Slinger. How many creatures is this right now? 14. What white creatures did I leave out? I think the choice, given the choice between Candy Trail and Plunge into Winter in this deck, I would play Plunge into Winter. I'd be looking for at least one more spell. This thing's pretty mopey, but it could be that. The thing I don't like about this deck is that I would like another decent 2-drop, and I don't think the 1/3 reaches counts as a decent 2-drop. I didn't consider red-green. I do have 2 of this thing. I kind of feel like the red cards aren't very good unless I'm playing white, though. I mean, probably my 2 best red cards are both red-white adventure cards. And they would be fine in a red-green deck, but they wouldn't be special. If I was like a red-green splash white deck, makes this card a lot worse. This card's still good. I think I probably actually would be kind of short on cards if I did that. Maybe not, because I would have the ruby trackers too. I didn't have that many straight green cards, but I am getting 2 ruby trackers if I do this. So I might play only Knightly Valor. Just a little bit weird. I would definitely play the Cottage just because it helps with the Dread Knight. And I'd probably play Prophetic Prism because it will help with the Dread Knight and casting Knightly Valor and playing the white half of those 2. This deck can probably play Unnatural Growth, because I'm only going to have single red, and I'm going to have 2 green mana, 2 creatures that tap for green mana. I guess I don't have to play Knightly Valor. I could just play 1 Bestial Bloodline. The downside of this right now is that I don't have particularly good removal. I have a Torch the Tower and a Cut-In. I could just add 2 Candy Grapples. And I guess a Callous Sellsword. More for Burn Together than the creature part, but it'd be like I'd play the Burn Together and then eventually I'd get to play the creature part. Which Burn Together is going to be really good in this deck potentially, because it works pretty well with Gruff's triplets, where you can just, you know, if you have 3 of them out, you can sack one of them to grow the other 2 and you get a lightning bolt. Or if you have Unnatural Growth and you're like doubling the power of Hamlet Glutton, you can just 12 your opponent. So what's the difference here between the green, black, blue deck? The blue deck I was getting to play Ingenious Prodigy, which is pretty good. And I had some okay black filler cards that I'm not playing right now. There's definitely solid black cards that I'm not playing. I only had the very best. And the mana in this deck is going to be... Let's figure out what the lands are going to be. think I want minimum 8 forests if I'm playing natural growth. Let's see if we can make it work with that. That'll give me 10 green producing lands plus 2 ruby daring trackers and a prophetic prism, and I've got a treasure from Grabby Giant. So I'd be adding 7 more land. If I added, this is it taps for red or green, but I only have single red cards, so by the point this thing is in play, it's not really helping me cast my red spells in a meaningful way. This gives me 4 or 5 black sources. For really just the candy grapples and then like half of the Dread Knight, half of the Sellsword. That's certainly fine. What if we add, let's start with 4 mountains. If these were just Root Rider Fawns, I could have gone really crazy and just played the Ingenious Prodigy as well. Obviously, I don't have Brave the Wilds, or I already would have put it in my deck. I guess one question is, should I have Candy Trail in this deck? Seems weird not to be playing with it. I think I need the 5th mountain. This level of red cards. So what did I give up to do this? I gave up the Prodigy. I gave up Feed the Cauldron, like these 3 drops. And some good 5 drops. Let's say I gained on the 3 drops, having these 2. And I like Hearth Elemental a lot as a card too. I'm also gaining on the 2 drops because I think the Ruby Daring Trackers are going to be quite good in this deck. The Callous Sellsword, I think, is better in this deck. The real drawback on this build is the mana's a little worse. I think the power level is higher though. How many creatures is this? 16 again. I haven't put this thing in my deck. Still, maybe it should have been in the green-black version. I guess I make foods with the Scream Puffs in the green-black version, and I have, that would make a food, and that would make a food. I think I've agonized over this enough. I'm going to play with this. I like to go for the highest power version of my deck, usually in sealed. Probably need to really prioritize making this treasure at some point so I can get Unnatural Growth into play. going to spend my mana sufficiently as possible. I'm not going to offer to trade with this thing. I will torch the tower it probably next turn. Ideally, I draw a mountain so I can go, that's mine, and torch the tower next turn. I'm taking on a slight bit of risk that if they have like royal treatment or something, or I guess they could have the, what's the ferocious werewolf guy? Is that the name of it? Probably not. The thing that gives it a monster roll. Or they could just have a troublemaker Oofy. That would work. Means next turn when they play their Beanstalker Giant, I'll be able to cut in it. I probably want to be a little bit careful not to just trade my creatures if the plan is to build this unnatural growth. Generally, I'll play in a way where I trade creatures when available a lot of the time. That's a good card. But I think not against they're up to. This is a real choice. If I play the Grabby Giant, they'll use their tapper on this, but they'll still take 5. And I'll have cut in next turn. If I draw another forest, I can still play this. I think it's better to just do this. The other option would be like just make the treasure. At that point, I'm hitting them for 3 instead of 5. And I'm set up to cast the Unnatural Growth, but I don't actually have... I guess I have a decent amount of power and creatures in play, too. They're going to be forced to chump block. Man, communing for the Savior of the Sleeping really didn't pay off for them this game. Oh, I think they're dead if they're actually attacking me. Okay, no, they realized that they weren't going to use it, so they just used it on their turn for no reason. I don't respect that. They don't have that Wrath. The White Wrath. Burn Together can go to people's faces, so... Even if they had the White Wrath and the Tapper, I wouldn't be drawing dead. I would just need to draw Burn Together and a creature. I'm going to want to remember that they have this card in their deck. And presumably in a green-white deck, they're also going to have other stuff. So I'm not going to want to just throw my Troublemaker Oofy into play for no reason. In this game, there was kind of a reason that it made sense to play it as a 2-drop, just to have a 2-drop. It's done a lot of damage, especially with the Red Tooth Genealogists. Did I see anything that makes me want to do something different? This does give me another way to destroy that, whatever the Hilda Icy Manipulator rare is called. I think my green cards are too good to get away from green. I'll go with no sideboarding. They're putting me on the play, which it's something. It's more reasonable in sealed than it is in other formats. I think this is not a very good format to be doing it, though. I think that the sealed format's still going to play pretty fast. Usually, it makes sense to do in slower formats. This hand I kept is pretty bad for sure. But if I draw a mountain, it gets very playable. If I draw a mountain or a swamp or Prophetic Prism, or I could draw the Bestial Bloodline. That was one I was hoping to draw. It's 5 mana to bring this back. Wow. No bargains there. Can you put this on your opponent's creatures? You can. Why would you want to? I accept. I'm not going to trade with their Pollen Shield Hair. I think that they're probably not going to attack, though. Hopefully they don't have any of the white removals, like, cooped up would be pretty bad. Because I think I'm about to put Bestial Bloodline on my Mosswood Dread Knight. Oh! 6 ball. Alright. For a non-land card to draw, that was actually pretty strong. I wonder if it can have been right for them to use their third turn to deal 4 extra damage to me and redraw Evolving Wilds. It had to have been right for them just to play Woodland Acolyte. Maybe if now they're not even getting a third color, like that play just didn't. That wasn't a good play, I don't think. Not going to trade the Genealogist here for a double block. Don't chump block my Trampler. Because if I draw a land and play on Natural Growth next turn, it makes the Genealogist way better. Probably, if that happens, they're just going to die to the gigantic Mosswood Dread Knight, but if they happen to have drawn Cooped Up or Grasp or whatever it's called. Oh, Pollenhide hair is making that bigger. Wow. It is bigger. That was not a great draw. Do I have to block? I guess. I think if I draw a land, especially if it's a non-green land, I'm very likely to win. So this is hedging against not drawing a land. There are a fair number of spells left in my deck that I could draw next turn that would not make my board any better. And that was one of them. That wasn't that bad for me, though. I traded my 2 small creatures for their token and a spell. Like, I don't mind that. Should I sack my food? I think if I draw a land, I'm just going to play on natural growth. And they're definitely going to die. Because if they had something that dealt with the Mosswood Dread Knight in combat, they would have attacked into it with their 4/4 vigilance. I think I'm just going to sack the food. That wasn't what I was hoping for. Maybe I should have kept the food around, because now if they top deck an exiling effect, I can't even play the Hamlet Guardian. Oh. Wow. Really powered through that one. This is definitely no longer going great. Had I not sacked the food, I would die to this attack, so it wouldn't have even made the Hamlet Glutton a live draw for the next turn if I drew a land. That was a lot of draw steps without any improvement in my colored mana situation. I'm going to continue the trend of me always being on the play. think I don't really want to trade with that. Food. So they're going to tap. I get to attack for 2 and play this thing. And play that. That seems fine. Reason to wait on this? I don't think so. I think I definitely want to do this because it trades with 2 of my creatures, and I know they have Titanic Growth in their deck. I'm really hoping I top deck on Natural Growth after having to stare at it in my hand for so many of the previous games. Tapping that. Are we drawing? Maybe they're in bad shape. Every time I've ever seen someone do this, I've thought that it was a bad idea when they've sacked this to draw cards. What if I attack with everything? And I'm willing to eat the food, so it's 5. And then they would take 4. They would take 9. Trade. And then I would throw this at them. They would get a 1. But I would lose this thing. That doesn't sound better than just doing this. If I had played the other way, I'm pretty sure I would have put them to 1. I would have probably been left with Imidane's Recruiter and a 3/3 Callous Sellsword, and then they would have a food, and like just cracking the food and making a random 3/3 would be enough to stabilize. They've still got a handful of cards. I think I was supposed to play a land, and I forgot to. Oh, that was their plan, to bring it back with this thing. Maybe if their hand was bad enough, that was a reasonable plan. So they're forced to trade. Is my food? Or they could have like Titanic Growth. I definitely should have played a land. If I draw a Crystal Grotto, I'm not going to be able to activate my Restless Cottage, which would make me very sad. Still have to block. Also, by not playing a land 2 turns ago, I made it so if I drew a Hamlet Glutton, I couldn't have even played it. That was just awful. Seems like their hand's terrible, though, if they're starting their turn with Prophetic Prism into Commune with Nature. There we go. That's not going to save you, opponent. Yet another reason I should have been making all my land drops is I have that card in my deck. I guess I'll wait 1 turn on the Crystal Grotto, maybe 2 turns. I already have a serviceable 2-mana play. Like I can play this next turn off the Crystal Grotto as well. The game plan here seems pretty clear. It's just get to 6 mana and play Gruff Triplets. Maybe I can bluff them into not blocking. I could have had anything off the Crystal Grotto. Really gone into the tank. And they came out with doing nothing. What do you think? Should I discard my hand for 2 new targets? I'm going to go with no. The sacking this to scry. They were waiting to see if I played a better target. Makes sense. I intentionally played the forest that turn over the swamp just because if I draw Unnatural Growth, is that the name of the quad green card? Whatever the quad green card is, if I draw that, I wouldn't be able to play it on turn 5. Doing good on the land front. Doing real good. So I guess with the way my deck is constructed right now, the tokens are worse for me than the Gruff triplets. Actually, I guess it probably doesn't matter. I was just thinking if they have the white, and 1 exile a creature card, I can blow it up with the Troubadour Oof, but it's already in the graveyard. So I think that these are functionally equivalent. Oh, that's a pretty good answer. So 1/3 of my card. I think the play if they attack is to double block 1. Which I'm not sure they're even going to attack. Yeah, I think that they're going to attack now. It seems like they're attacking. I guess I could have tried to eat this. Yeah. I was giving them credit that there was a reason that they attacked with this. Maybe they messed up, though, and they just thought what was going to happen was I was just going to block the 2/3 power guys. Get the swamp. I think I can afford to attack. They have 6 damage on the board, but I have a food. And I will have a decent blocker. Dealing them 6 damage isn't that exciting just because they do have the tapper. So eventually they can slow me down if they want. Okay. I'm just going to block this thing. Plays around Rat Out. And also, I'm taking 1 more point this turn, but it's very likely if I leave the Wicked Visitor in play that I'm going to take that point back at some point later on in the game. Is that a good trade for them? Doesn't seem like it. This is 3 to use, right? Usually this thing is so cheap to put into play, but not this game. They have Rat Out here. They can block and Rat Out. That would be fine with me. This has gone surprisingly well for a game where I drew 10 lands and 6 spells. One of my spells was arguably the best card in this whole format, but 10 lands, 6 spells is definitely not ideal. So if I draw Callous Sellsword, it's pretty likely I kill them. I can't imagine that they're going to leave up mana to spend on exiling the triplets with Cooped Up. Hamlet Glutton would be great. Grubby Giant would be pretty good, because I could actually use the sack lands and artifacts ability. I've got so much mana. Midane's Recruiter would be really good. That deck has a lot of good draws left in it, and not that many lands. I can actually bargain that. I can sack this token. This is a reason that the tokens were better for me than the... than the actual body. I forgot about bargain. That's good enough to keep. Is that a wicked roll? Let's put some to 1. I went into full control mode because I thought I needed to attack with this first to get the trigger before I sacked the 6/6, but then I realized I still had the 4/5, so it didn't matter. I probably should have played this land. It also didn't matter. So, like, white, black, enchantments, they have Cooped Up, Candy Grapple, Fairy Fencing. So, 1 rare, the Spiteful Hexmage. I can't say that it really... I don't think I've seen the card that's the reason that this person built their deck the way they did. They played a bunch of solid stuff, but nothing that would explain why they chose to build a white-black deck. So probably they have some good cards I didn't see. I don't think I'm going to do much sideboarding with this deck, the way it's constructed. I mean, I guess I could be looking to add more black to my deck, but it's pretty rough on the mana. Like, I think I have to get rid of Ruby Daring Tracker if I want to add black cards to my deck, and I don't really think I'm going to want to do that. The one card I might sideboard in is a Territorial Witch Stalker if I play against a really aggressive deck, which I don't think my opponent's deck qualifies as really aggressive. It's just normal. Certainly not a good hand. I think it's a keepable hand, though. I'm supposed to draw a mountain there. I'm supposed to draw a mountain next turn. Swamp. That's okay. I'm going to do what my opponent did. I'm going to take the hit and see if they play a juicier target. If they play nothing, I'm going to Candy Grapple. Use my mana. Next turn, I'll be playing the Genealogist if I don't draw something better. Ideally, I draw a Mountain and I can play Ruby Daring Tracker and Grand Ball Guest. Not ideal. Just a lowly 2/3. Alright. We've both been forced to Candy Grapple pretty mediocre cards. I guess not forced, but your hands kind of dictated it. I do have this horrible sleeve. I wonder how to get rid of that. Are they actually sacking the food? Sacking it to bargain. That makes sense. Whoa. They ditched the Plains and Virtue of Loyalty. So Virtue of Loyalty is one of the reasons that they're playing white. They really had a card that was better than Virtue of Loyalty. Hooray! I finally got to cast Unnatural Growth. There are no creatures in play. That's a good card, at least. So this is another reason why they're playing white. Does this thing work? Base power and toughness 4/4, but it's is this timestamps? Is this how this works? I've never seen those two cards in play before. They're both rares. I think if they played them the other order, they might have gotten that thing to be a 4/4. But as always, don't quote me on the rules. I'm playing this now because I definitely want to play it on my turn, and I don't want them to kill my Ruby Daring Tracker in combat. If I don't attack with it, I'm telegraphing that I plan to use it to cast a spell, and it's a disaster if they choose to kill it and just take the 4 from the Grand Ball Guest. I think they have Fairy Fencing in their hand. I no longer think they have Fairy Fencing in their hand. Okay. Things are starting to go not great for me. Not awful, though. Trying to figure out if I have time to play Train Troops, and I think the answer is I do not. Do I die to Hopeless Nightmare? No. Close. Very close. This thing is going to be the solution to all my problems. You know what? I'm not even going to attack. I don't think I'm going to miss the point, and I don't want my thing dying to Kellen's light blades. Especially not when I have a Kellen in my hand. That would just be, it'd be a bad flavor. Problem. It died anyway. Well, I didn't miss anything by not attacking. I do have a card I can tutor for with Birthright Boon, and I have a Prophetic Prism. So if I draw a land next turn, I'm going to go Prophetic Prism and do that. Even if I don't draw a land, I might still do that. This thing is always so scary when they play it and they've got a handful of cards. Like if they have that 3-2 that bounces it back to their hand, it's so hard to win if they get to start doing that before you've really dealt them any damage. Please don't have the 3-2. That's not the 3-2, it's a 2-2. I'm expecting them to have Archon's Glory. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to play this. Put a roll token on that. And we're just going to hang out. I don't think I need to bargain there. Alright. So it's kind of a 2 for 2 with the princesses. Princess takes flight. Wait, did it work out in my favor? I guess it worked out in my favor. You don't see this every day. Give me the bloodline. You may be wondering why I did that before attacking, and I'm wondering that as well. No! My fancy guy. Just gonna play this as a creature. I can do this. Another white-black deck. I have Archon's Glory and Candy Grapple. The thing about this card is you can't really... I mean, it doesn't work to board in, like, things that blow up artifacts and enchantments. Because you're almost doing their work for them at that point. This is a good hand. I guess I don't have white mana, so I can't get my Bestial Bloodlines. And I do have 2 copies of this, but it wouldn't surprise me if this card dies. No need to be careful with this one, because I actually want them to kill it. want to go with the Prism or with the Grand Ballgast? I think the Grand Ballgast. Next turn I'll probably go like Prism Genealogist if I draw a land. Or I can go Prism, and if I brick on the land, play Bakery Raid. That's pretty powerful. They have more? Is it cooped up? I'm assuming Sage. Let's see. I think I want to set up a play next turn where I get the Grand Ballgast up to 4/4 again and burn together with it. Which I can do that by like getting Bestial Bloodlines, or if I draw a land I can do it with Hollow Scavengers. This is an attack that doesn't make me feel good. I'm going to block in case they have Archon's Glory. I'd like to get it out of their hand. I also don't really... like, I need to be kind of careful with my life total this game as well. I'm not going to kill them fast when they gain so much life off their life linker. This will work. I have Prophetic Prism on my side. Alright, that's not very good for me. Can't even afford to go and get Bestial Bloodlines. Yeah, I think I can. If they have a spell here that gets rid of the Kellen, I'm probably going to lose. If they don't, they hit me for 2. But then I can eat my food to gain a little bit of life, and I do have the Restless Cottage as the game goes on to potentially gain more life. Alright, I probably lose. But it's not guaranteed. guess I should do this right now. So they didn't. Otherwise, I could like bargain away the wicked roll in response, and I would not survive. The creatures are about to get substantially worse because they're going to exile the Kellen. They didn't exile the Kellen. Interesting. So their plan is to choose 4? So I need to do this, right? I think so. That chooses on resolution, so I couldn't wait to see what they did. Guess I go after creatures against their deck. It's a reindeer. A good draw. In case you're wondering why, it should be pretty obvious why. I still can't attack. Getting through the 5/6 vigilance is going to be rough, though. Should I bargain away a Gruff's triplets? I don't think so. I think I just want to keep most of my creatures around. Next turn I'll be able to put Bestial Bloodline on the Hamlet Glutton and start going to town. It's been a really good series of draw steps for me. Not so much the mountain, but the Gruff's triplets into Hamlet Glutton, certainly. And I guess that I needed to draw that Candy Grapple at the one turn as well. I will chump this with one of these. The triplets don't grow as much as I was hoping for them to, but they do grow some. Should I attack with everything? I would go up to 10 life. I think I can attack with everything. They'll block there. Jump. Like they almost definitely have a land in their hand. I think they're just dead. I guess if they had Candy Grapple in their hand, it might be really bad for me. But I don't think that's very likely. If they had Kellen's Light Blades in their hand, it'd be pretty bad for me. But even then, I'm still going to be left with a giant Gruff's Triplets and my... Ruby Tracker flooded. Oh, that's a good card. Thanks. I do have the Troubadour. Oof. My plan is not to block and just play Grabby Giant and to play the Hamlet Glutton next turn, sacking the Treasure. If they're actually a red-green deck, a fast Hamlet Glutton is pretty hard for them to deal with. Now they're just going to kill my Ruby Tracker. Can't they afford to do that? Yeah. I think they're going to do it now. Could still play the Hamlet Glutton. I have to give up the Prophetic Prism, which is a little annoying. But I think it's worth it. Giving up the Prophetic Prism does mean I'm not, unless I draw the, what's it called? Crystal Grotto, I'm not going to be able to play the white half of my adventure cards, which I don't have any of the adventure cards, so that might not be a big of a deal. 2 up the Beanstalks. This is starting to get a little ugly. Mana guy. I'm going to want to finish this game pretty quick. But probably going to be pretty hard to do. Ah, Gruff's Triplets draw 2 cards. I see, that's how you plan to do it. I don't know if that trade was worth it for me. I was hoping they weren't going to block, and it would get their life total low enough that maybe if I drew Burn Together, I would kill them. Like it was a very risky block for them, I would say. But they made it, and it succeeded. Excited they didn't play a 5-mana card last turn. Is it even worth blowing up one of the Up the Beanstalks at this point? I don't think so. I think what they're going to do is they're going to bounce the Bramble Familiar and then just start playing whatever the other half of Bramble Familiar is called. But it costs me a card to destroy an Up the Beanstalk because the Grabby Giant can just eat the food. Man, their deck's good. Maybe if I draw my own Gruff's Triplets or Unnatural, whatever it's called. I can get something going on. Maybe if I draw Bestial Bloodline, that'll do something for me. But maybe not. I'm going to keep us in a stalemate, if at all possible. Let's see. They have a very similar pool to me, but I think theirs is substantially better. Although they do have a few stinkers in their deck. The Scarecrow Guide. What's not exactly a... You do have a little bit of need for white mana in this 3 bowls of porridge. So you're not stellar cards. Is it possible I survive this? I'm at 21. No. There might have been a way I could have lived if I blocked slightly differently, but it would have been a completely unwinnable board state. Not that that one wasn't. I don't think I'm going to switch to white-red. 2 Up the Beanstalks. I need a Narset. It's a bargain. Maybe not really, but it's not bad. I want to draw a Genealogist. I think I want to do better. I really want to find my Gruff's Triplets or my Unnatural Growth. Don't have switch the tower. It's another white card. That's not bad. I still don't have black mana. It was definitely worth the stoking there just because I was going to be a long way away from black mana anyway. Probably needed to have found a black mana by now. Maybe if I find it next turn. So I can actually play this Candy Rapple. Or if I draw Unnatural Order or Gruff's Triplets. There are ways I can still win. Come on, don't play Landgruff's Triplets. Oh. Now it gets hard. I don't think I have a choice but doing this. That's not going to be good for me. In the Gruff Triplets mirror, the person who draws more Gruff Triplets seems favored. I can't possibly survive. Alright, 3-1 with... That was a good deck. That was a tough last match. Hope you guys enjoyed watching, and I'll see you next time.